My name's Ben Roger. I'm a defenseman for the Kingston Frontenacs in the Ontario Hockey League. I got into hockey from a really young age. My parents had me skating when I was 2 years old. I think I played my first organized hockey when I was 5 years old and just stuck with it my entire life, and I'm pretty glad I did.
I'm Steve Roger. I'm Ben's dad. In hockey and really all sports, it came naturally to him. He enjoyed doing it. I think when you enjoy doing something, you usually do well at it. He was lucky as well to be exposed. Hockey was always the primary sport, always his focus, but he played all school sports. He loved it, and you could see that there was a natural ability there. He's a really good skater from a young age. That's where you could see a little bit of separation from other kids, but he was a good athlete.
My name's Dave Maloney, and I'm an NHLPA certified hockey agent. Known Ben since his Bantam year. I've been his agent since his minor midget year. Ben's ability to skate, he's got really good natural foot speed. He's got a frame that can, when he was younger, he had a frame that could be filled in, which he's done. He's a smart player, he's physical, and he's got a good attitude.
I was drafted in the 2021 NHL entry draft in the second round, 49th overall selection by the Ottawa Senators.
With the 49th overall selection in the 2021 NHL draft, the Ottawa Senators have selected Ben Roger from London of the Ontario Hockey League.
It was definitely a bright spot throughout the whole COVID experience that happened in the summer of 2021. Since COVID was still going on, the NHL draft wasn't in person, it was online via Zoom and the TV. So I was actually fortunate enough to spend it with a lot of family and friends back in Brighton, where I live. The time that I was watching the draft with my parents, my grandparents, and my sister. And then once after I got picked, a bunch of family and friends came over. We had a big party in my backyard, and it was definitely one of the best experiences of my life, and spending with the people closest to me was really awesome. The journey's definitely been long. It's been enjoyable, but there's definitely been a lot of ups and downs. I think every kid, when they get into hockey, they get into it for fun. It's just a fun game that they like to play. But as the years progress and you get into the higher levels and eventually into junior hockey and then preparing yourself for the NHL draft, it becomes a job, and there's still fun in the game. And I still love playing the game, it's still a lot of fun, but it's definitely more of a job mentality now. But overall, I wouldn't change it for anything, and it's been a great journey. I've had a lot of good people by my side along the way. I think that the big contributing factors of my hockey career so far has been the people around me. I can't take all the credit for all my successes. If I didn't have the people around me, like my family and my dad in particular, I don't think I would be where I'm at today. So just having those people always pushing me, all the coaches from the past, and all my teammates pushing me, encouraging me, I think that I owe a lot of credit to them for where I am today, because if you don't have people pushing you in your life, it's sometimes hard to get where you need to go. So I'm really thankful for all those people in my life.
My name is Jeremy Benoit, and I'm one of the strength conditioning coaches for the Ottawa Senators Hockey Club. I've known Ben for probably 3 years now, 4 years actually, sorry. I actually met him when he was a 16-year-old with the Wellington Dukes. I knew there was something there physically, just needed a little bit of maturing, and really intelligent kid. Started out with Wellington and then signed with the London Knights, and he started with me that summer, training full-time for the full 4 months of the off season. The Roger family is a great family. He comes from good parents, and Ben works extremely hard on his craft, becoming an NHL defenseman. Currently in junior and working his way into the American Hockey League, and then hopefully making the jump up. He's come a long way, and he's got a long road to go, and it's been a pleasure working with him through that process, and being able to tell him that he's being drafted by our team I work for was pretty special on that draft day.
I think probably the biggest struggle and biggest hurdle to overcome is just probably at the end of the day just like my strength and my weight. It's a big thing in the hockey world, just to be strong enough and to be heavy enough. And for a lot of my hockey career, I wasn't. I was too light, I was too skinny, not strong enough, and that's what I heard from everyone, scouts, teams, coaches, everything, is that needed to get stronger, need to eat more, and that was probably the biggest struggle and the biggest hurdle I've overcome. I'm still trying to overcome it. I've done a good job so far. I just got to continue to push myself in the weight room and in the kitchen, just eating good food and continuing to add strength, because that's probably one of the biggest knocks of mine, and just it's one of the biggest struggles I've had in my hockey career, is not being strong enough. So I've continued to work on that and continue to get stronger and continue to improve myself, because it wasn't a good feeling when I couldn't lift as much as other guys and jump as far as other guys or jump as high as other guys. So it wasn't a good feeling.
You know, the longest time London thought he just couldn't get big. He had a big, nice 6'5" frame, but was 165 pounds maybe. So they were worried that he wasn't going to be able to mature into his frame.
He needed to physically evolve. He put the time in with Jeremy Benoit and a few other really good people who helped him kind of build his dynamic power in his body to the point now where he's, I think he's 6'4" and a bit now, and he's 215 pounds.
He came top 15 in the NHL testing this year for our group, and that's pretty impressive for a first-year guy. So, some of his weaknesses have now turned into strengths, and that's the goal of a professional athlete that's been drafted.
I'm not too particular about like my diet or anything. Obviously, I eat healthy, but I don't like follow a certain calorie count or do any specific diet per se. I just make sure that I have enough to eat enough calories and a lot of good food. Like obviously, I try to get as much protein as I can, carbohydrates, simple and complex carbohydrates, depending on when during the day or if we have a game or practice. Just making sure I have all the food groups, having lots of water throughout the day, and just making sure I'm eating a lot and a lot of good food, making sure I'm fueled and ready to compete at the highest level. Yeah, so our training and practice schedule, it varies if you're in the off season or in the season. When you're in the off season, usually try to start early, get your workout done in the morning, probably an hour to 2 hours in the morning, and then try to follow that up with an hour or an hour and a half of ice. So that's usually my schedule in the off season and in the summer. It's very intense training. I have a great trainer back home named Jeremy Benoit. He's fantastic. I've been working with him for years now. And that's my off-season schedule. Very intense, very upbeat, and it's a lot of fun, and I love growing and bettering myself in the off-season. And then with that being said, during the season, off the ice workouts aren't as intense. Kind of just use them as maintaining workouts, just keeping your body right. A lot more stretching, a lot more yoga, a lot more mobility. And also with like a sprinkle of strength workouts in there as well, and just little stuff here and there like power and explosiveness. But then a lot of the work during the season is done on the ice in practice and games, obviously, and that's where the bulk of your conditioning and everything goes in during those games and practices during the season. Some of the sacrifices is just sometimes when your friends are going out and hanging out, sometimes when you got a big game the next day, just getting to bed early, just kind of little stuff like that, but nothing crazy. It's a little bit of a social life, but you still be able to have a social life. It's not like hockey's going to take that completely away from you.
I would say personally, I always enjoyed the time, so I really didn't look at it as making sacrifices. There was so much time together when he was a young kid. They'd be taking him to stick and puck through the day. When he was young in kindergarten, it was every other day. And I had shift work, so I would always be taking him different places. But I never thought of it as a sacrifice. I enjoyed every minute of it for both Ben and his sister Sarah. Potentially as a family, maybe vacations. We haven't really had any vacations in the last, your typical vacation of sun or sand and ocean. We haven't had that type of thing in the last 20 years, but our vacations have been hockey tournaments. That might be the only thing. I know Christine, my wife, she'd probably want to take a vacation pretty soon, but that might be about the only sacrifice because we've enjoyed everything along the way.
Over all these years, I hope to be in the NHL one day. I got a taste of what that would be like back in September 2021 when I went to my first NHL camp with the Ottawa Senators, and just seeing those guys and being around the pros, it's a pretty good lifestyle that they live, and just want to continue to work hard so I can achieve that one day, because that would be a pretty awesome future to build a family with and have a great life.
With Ben growing up, I think that my memories of him is that truly he's a good kid. I think if you asked his classmates, his teammates, his teachers, other parents, he was usually, well behaved, a good kid. I know I always really appreciated the fact that he had good work ethic in everything he did, which made the hockey journey especially, a lot easier. I truly think he loved doing it and never complained. It was never an issue going to the rink or going to early practices. He always wanted to go. So I think him having that personality of easy to get along with and somebody who has some drive, I think that's probably one of the reasons why he's achieved what he has so far, and hopefully it will help him going forward in the future.
Ben's a really polite kid, really respectful to everyone that he comes across. One of those you let him date your daughters kind of guy. He's a direct reflection of his parents and the job they've done raising him as a kid.
If I were to talk to a young kid just starting hockey right now, I'd just tell him to have fun. It's a really hard sport to succeed in if you don't like the sport. So just enjoy it. Enjoy hanging out with your teammates and the practices. And I know it sounds kind of funny, but enjoy the hard work, because once you're done and you're retired and you look back, you're going to miss those hard practices and the times when you're in the third period battling with your team. You're going to miss those times. Another thing I'd say is, don't go into hockey for expectations or anything. Just go into just to have fun and work your hardest. And if you one day get to where you want to be and where your dream is, that's awesome. But the most important thing is just to work hard and have fun and just learn a lot of life lessons too. I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned in hockey is just life lessons: how to work as a team, how to treat people, how to be a leader. There's plenty of life lessons you can learn in hockey, and I'm really fortunate that I like to think that I learned a lot of those lessons.
Roger!